In the last episode, as per classical Tantra texts of Tara tradition, we saw how Ma Tara was with Sri Ram throughout his Vanvas, guiding him at every step. Sri Ram's destination was Lanka, where Ma Sita resided in captivity. Lanka was a city beyond stone and gold. It was fortified by mantra and armed by the power of Tantra. Lanka's true defense against enemies was more mantric than physical. The gates vibrated with the resonance of mantras and tantric rituals performed by Ravan. The towers echoed with powerful yantric geometry. The city moved as commanded by Ravan's disciplined will. Ravan, though on the path of adharma, was a sadhak par excellence. He ruled Lanka through mantra siddhi. His power came from severe tapas and the grace of his Kuladevi Nikumbhala. He owned, commanded, and possessed his mantra Shakti. He hoarded this power over decades of tapas, yet never used it for the good of humanity. He believed himself to be the doer. Now, since mantra is sound, Matara alone then could aid in defeating Lanka. And why is that? As per tantric texts, Matara is of the nature of Nad, and she is the female personification of Shabda Brahman, the primordial sound from which all sounds and mantras originate. As directed by Shabri, Sri Ram had proceeded to Kishkinda, the capital of Vanar kingdom. Sri Ram's meeting with Sri Hanuman was the first sign of Matara's presence in that kingdom. The moment Hanuman saw Sri Ram, he recognized him instantly and bowed in surrender. So, what was happening in that meeting? Sri Ram embodied the primordial sound or Shabda Brahman, the source of all sounds, as the very nature of Matara. Just as sound needs air to travel, divine consciousness too needs a medium to express itself. That medium was Sri Hanuman as Vayu Tattva. He was the carrier of that sound, and hence he instantly surrendered because the sound had found its source in Sri Ram. When Sri Hanuman entered Lanka, he created havoc by going straight to the root of its power, the mantras. He simply broke its rhythm. He laughed, he leaped, he spoke informally, and he broke the rhythm of the mantras that echoed through its walls. Every mantra has 6 limbs called Shadang: the seer or the rishi, the deity or the devata, the bij or the seed, the energy or the shakti, the meter or the chandas, and kilak or a lock. This basically means that with any one of the 6 missing, a mantra won't be able to work to its full potential. Ravan had mastered the mantra using all the 6 limbs. The Shakti of the mantras harnessed through sadhana collapses when rhythm breaks and the meter or the chandas falters. Sri Hanuman's mischievous act did just that. And Lanka was shaken. Yantras lost symmetry. Guards forgot syllables. Chanting faltered. This was Matara working through the Vayu Tattva. With the help of Sri Hanuman, Sri Ram was able to know the whereabouts of Mata Sita, who was held captive in the Ashok Vatika of Ravan's Lankapuri. For a moment, let's understand why breaking the rhythm of the mantras was so important in the war of Lanka. The 4 levels of Vak or speech are Vaikhari, Madhyama, Pashyanti, and Para, from grossest to the subtlest level. Vachik Japa is audible to everyone around you. It represents physical consciousness or Vaikhari. In whispered chanting or Upanshu Jap, you whisper so discreetly that you are almost inaudible. It represents mental consciousness or Madhyama Vak. Mental chanting or Manasik Japa is when there is no external sound in your chanting and even your lips don't move. It represents intellectual consciousness or Pashyanti, which means that which is seen as opposed to that which is spoken. In mental chanting, you repeatedly visualize the mantra in your mind's eye. Unspoken chanting or Ajapajap represents transcendental consciousness or Paravak. The mantra remains the same, but how you chant makes all the difference. Silence becomes more potent than speech. When we do Mansik Japa, the mantra is recalled syllable by syllable. And by recalling the syllables mentally, the echo returns. But Ma Tara withdrew that echo. Ravan was a mantric adept. His chanting was Ajapa. But as Sri Ram's forces grew closer to Lanka and Sri Hanuman made his presence felt, the echo of Ravan's chanting disappeared within him. Ma Tara had withdrawn. The sound no longer returned to him when he chanted. And this is very terrifying for a mantric adept who practices Ajapajap. The continuous circuit of the mantra was broken. This was her most secret act. She loosened the knot of I am chanting. For a brief instant, Ravan felt the question, who is doing this? That single crack was enough. As the war began, Rakshasas chanted before striking. Sri Ram released each arrow after a pause, silently invoking Ma Tara through a whispered chant. That pause, the gap, was Madhyama Vak, which dissolved Lanka's mantric protection. Weapons failed mid-air. Illusions shattered without counterspell. Protective chants lost sequence and collapsed. Ravan's Kuldevi Nikumbala shielded Lanka and bestowed her divine protection upon Ravan, so no one could harm him. Hence, in Devi Bhagavatam, Narad Muni narrates how Sri Ram performed Navadurga sadhana in the month of Ashwin. Through japa and hom, after 9 days of devotion, Devi appeared before Sri Ram and blessed him to uproot adharma. Deep beneath Lanka lay the chamber of Nikumbila, where Ravan's power renewed itself through his Ajapajap. This secret subterranean sacrificial chamber in Lanka is described in the Yuddha Kandam of Ramayana, where Ravan and his son Indrajit performed powerful tantric and mantric rites to secure invincibility and renew the strength during the war. Indrajit had vowed to perform the Nikumbila Yajna, after which no forces in the 3 worlds could defeat him. He would become Ajaya. The only condition was the Yajna should be completed without any interruption, failing which the Yajman would lose his life. No weapon could breach Nikumbila chamber. No spy could map it. Nobody could disturb that fortified energy. So to enter Nikumbila, one had to leave no trace of sound. This is where Ma Tara acted. Ma Tara did not manifest herself physically. Why? Because Nikumbila consumed all audibly recognized sounds. If Ma Tara appeared as form, the mantra would adapt itself and again block all entry. If she appeared as sound, Ravan's mantra would counter-chant. Therefore, she did something very subtle. Nikumbila chamber's protection was powered by Ravan's constant ajapa. Matara introduced a delay by breaking his ajapa jap. Ravan could remember the syllable, but a fraction late. The gestures or mudras to seal were correct, but a half breath off. So nothing visibly went wrong, yet the circuit of the mantric energy failed to close. She withdrew the inner echo of the mantra in Ajapa Jap. Ravan's protection again depended on a continuous circuit of mantra chanting, which acted like an Abhed Kavacham. And now his Ajapa chants were broken, compromising the protection he drew from the mantra. This is when Sri Hanuman and Sri Lakshman attacked the secret chamber. Sri Hanuman broke the outer structures and Sri Lakshman disrupted the yajna. They acted as visible instruments, but the invisible force behind them was Ma Tara. Her delay had caused an inward collapse of the protection in Nikumbila. Ravan, with his mantric Shakti, could sense any gods, any devata, any weapon, intention, and threats, and yet he could not sense Matara's presence. When the Nikumbala Yajna failed and Indrajit was killed, Ravan did not weaken immediately. He fought fiercely. His confidence remained. But every wound now became final. Every arrow carried consequences. In the final battle between Sri Ram and Ravan, Vibhishan, Ravan's brother, who became Sri Ram's close aide during the war, tells Sri Ram to aim at Ravan's navel, where the Amrit, the nectar of immortality, was stored. Sri Ram takes aim and fires the arrow, piercing Ravan's navel. The Amrit in his Nabi begins to flow out. This Amrit was held in place by his mantric Shakti, but that Shakti was no longer with him. In his final moments, Ma Tara had withdrawn his mantric Shakti, and so his chanting broke, his voice cracked, and his mantric seal collapsed, unable to hold the nectar of immortality anymore. Ravan finally died and was liberated by the grace of Sri Ram. If we look at Sri Ram's life throughout Vanvas, Ma Tara's presence protected him at every step. The Ashtottaram of Ma Tara tells us that she is also known as Ramarupaya, Ram Shakteya, Ram Rupanukarinya. So what is the relationship between the 10 Mahavidyas and the 10 avatars of Lord Vishnu? In the Devi Bhagavatam, Divine Mother tells Parvatraj Himavan that when Dharma declines and Adharma rises, she manifests as Shakambari, as Ram, as Krishna, and in many other forms. It is Divine Mother herself who appears as the avatars of Lord Vishnu. There is nothing in this world apart from Divine Mother. This entire creation is the manifestation of Shakti in countless forms. It is not necessary that Divine Mother always appears in a physical form. Sometimes she comes as inner clarity, sometimes as inner guidance, sometimes as a protection that prevents unseen harm. Her protection is like an invisible enclosure, a protective circle of energy that cannot be breached. That is why she is invoked in the cremation grounds. When a sadhak draws a protective enclosure around the sadhana space, it becomes a safe field of her grace.
Om Tarinne Swaha. Om Taralaya Swaha. Om Tanvaya Swaha.
And her presence is awakened through Kavach mantras. That enclosure becomes alive. One by one, obstacles are removed from the path. Ma Tara's protective armor or Kavach is available under the guidance of Om Swamiji within the Tantra Sadhana app as part of Ma Tara's sadhana. allowing seekers to invoke her protection and grace. Om Shri Matre Namaha.